Okay. And so as I said, it's a little bit different setup for me. So I don't have access to the chat as readily as I normally do. So if you have a question about something, don't be afraid to speak up. I'll still try to check the chat, but it's harder to see everything all on one screen. So we're going to introduce today assignment 105, which is your AutoCAD assignment. And it'll be the next little bit of the class when we work through AutoCAD. And like I said, a lot of the exercises are geared toward checking the boxes for the assignment. So if you work on the exercises, you'll be basically working on the assignment, which is always a good strategy. So assignment 105, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be working on an architectural design. So it's actually a building this time. And the basic program is that you've been selected as the architect of a small 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom cabin. The cabin's going to be located in Yosemite. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to do this in real life because Yosemite is a national park, but for the sake of doing it, we're going to do it in Yosemite. I've selected the site, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And you're going to be creating an AutoCAD floor plan and also 4 elevations of this cabin that are going to highlight your design decisions and showcase your cabin to your potential client, which I guess in this world would be me. Your clients are a husband and wife with no children. They've requested the following for their cabin. They want 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and the total of that should be about 400 square feet. They want a living space with a fireplace and windows that, quote, capture the site. It's making you site aware, which is always important. That's about 200 square feet. They want a kitchen that's open to the living space at about 150 square feet and a dining space of about 150 square feet as well. We're looking for a maximum square footage of about 1,000 square feet total. So if you're 1,100 square feet, that's probably okay. If you're 900 square feet, that's okay too. If you're 2,000 square feet, no, too big. If you're 5,000 square feet, obviously way too big. So we're trying to keep the general size down on this. And that's so that you can actually model it and it fits on a sheet and that sort of thing. So we're going to begin today with the evaluation of the site. I'll show you the site. There's a download. It's a KMZ Google Earth file, and you guys can look at that file. I'll take you to the site anyway, so you probably don't need to actually download it. I also gave you the base topography to start your drawing on, so we'll open that up in AutoCAD and you'll see that. We're going to be working on that base topography, and we'll start drawing. It'll make more sense when I show it to you. And then ultimately, you can see that was 118. We'll keep working on the floor plan through 119. That's this week. Then in 120, we're going to move on into the elevation views. So we'll work on that. And then in 121, we'll actually do the final assembly and layout, excuse me, using the viewports and using the model space and paper space. So we're working our way toward the whole project. And that's ultimately going to be due on Monday, April 25th at midnight. So it's still a ways out. And you will have your peer reviews. So all of that's kind of getting you set for what we're doing today. Today, in exercise 118, we're going to be doing the site evaluation, and we'll work with topography and actually start drawing the plan of your work. When we're done, we're going to turn in wherever you've gotten. And so, like I said, over today and over Wednesday, we really want to concentrate on getting a well-developed floor plan. And those are important steps in this process. So today, if we can get the walls and the doors and the windows, that'd be great. And then we'll add some more layers of detail next class. So let's go ahead and download that information. I have a zip file of the site information. You guys have seen me do this before, but if I wanted to save it, I would right click on it and I would say save link as. It's going to ask me where to save it. I currently have it saved in my OneDrive folder. I'll click save, and it always throws this error. You guys are used to this by now. We have to make sure we click the little up arrow and choose keep, and that way that zip file will download completely. So let's show that zip file. Show it here. And if I were to extract it, I could right click on it and extract all. We'll put it in the same folder there. And like I said, you have 2 files. One is a set of topo lines that you'll open up in AutoCAD, and the second one is a KMZ file, which is a Google Earth file. You used to be able to download and install Google Earth for free, and unfortunately, they stopped that ability. So let's take a look at it. Jump back here to, sorry, my Zoom stuff is covering up my Google Earth. Here we go. There we go. And so it's a little tricky to get the files to load correctly into Google Earth. It's a special option here. And if we go to settings, remember exactly where it is. I thought it was. Ah. Okay, so we're going to click on this. And then I'll click this little span and we're going to import a KML file from our computer. Let me go into my OneDrive here. And then we're going to go to my folder for today. And we'll go into my folder there. And there is that KMZ file. We'll go ahead and open it. And it's going to take us to the site. So we're going to zoom in. And there we go. This is in the Happy Isles section of Yosemite Valley. So if we zoom back out a little bit, you can kind of see where we are in general relation. Right, we're over here in the East Bay. There's our building site. There's Tahoe for perspective. Let's zoom in and take a little bit closer look here. If you guys have been to Yosemite, you are familiar with Half Dome probably. That's up over in here. And so let's zoom in a little bit more. You can kind of get a sense here. There's a river that runs through the site. Hold on a second, I need to minimize a few things here so I can get better access. Let's turn on 3D. There we go. And it's giving us a little bit of a spin here. And if I middle mouse, oops, we're obviously in mountainous region, so I have to be careful of how I do this. We can kind of get a sense for where we are. We're down in this canyon. There we are. There's Half Dome. It's an amazing hike by itself. There we go. But what we're looking for is down in this little valley. Sorry, I have to keep moving my zoom windows around here. So we'll zoom in there. And there's our little building site. There's a little bit of a cabin there. Right now, it's the Nature Center. We're going to ignore the Nature Center and pretend it's not there. Oh, come on. Sorry, I was trying to get in a little bit closer. Hopefully, I'm not making it sick. So the primary view, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is across the valley. We're looking across Yosemite Valley and up at the mountains there. Let's see if I can pan a little bit. No, it's not letting me. But anyway, so there's the North Dome, Half Dome's over here, and we're down in this valley. So I want to kind of give you this walkthrough so you understand what it is we're working with and where we're designing. It's not a particularly steep site, which is good, but you have some flexibility in terms of where it's placed. The site that I actually gave you is 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet, so it's a much bigger site than what your building will be. It gives you some flexibility in where it's going to go. So let's go ahead and open up the actual AutoCAD. So I'm going to let's open up AutoCAD here. Now, there's two AutoCADs that are available on the school computer. There's the regular AutoCAD and there's AutoCAD Architecture. We're going to not work with AutoCAD Architecture. Right now, we're going to work with just plain AutoCAD. There are features in AutoCAD Architecture that are useful, but they're kind of more advanced. And I want you guys to get comfortable with just plain AutoCAD. So I'm opening just plain AutoCAD, just like we did last class. And we'll let that open up here. All right. And now I want to go ahead and open that file that I gave you. So this is the one that came down in the zip file, and you're going to make sure you extract it before you actually try to open it. So let me go into my OneDrive. There it is. Go into my live demonstrations. Let's go to 118. And I'm going to choose there's that building site file, and there's the topography assignment 105. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now, I created this topography using Rhino and exporting. So when it first opens, it always throws this error. Just click continue to open the DWG file. And now what we have is a bunch of topography. So when you look at this, we need to kind of understand what's happening here. The closer these lines are spaced, the steeper the hill is. So this lower right corner is the highest corner, and it's very, very steep because the lines are very close together. As we get down into the flats here, right, those are kind of much less steep. Every one of these increments represents 1 foot. The lowest point in the whole thing is right here. So it's getting steeper as you go down. This is oriented north-south. So we're looking across the valley, which is toward the north. Now, when we go to start actually drawing here, our buildings are going to end up being really small. And what I recommend doing, especially if you're not familiar with architectural design or you haven't done it too much, is to kind of have, sorry, to have an idea of what building sizes are. So let's look at, I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and let's think about how big one of these rooms might be. So if, for example, I had a 12-foot by 12-foot room, the 12-foot by 12-foot room would be about 144 square feet. So when let's jump back here and show my program. When I look here at the program, and I'm saying I want 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom for approximately 400 square feet. If I did a 12 by 12 bedroom and another 12 by 12 bedroom, that's close to 300 square feet. It gives me another 100 to 120 square feet for a bathroom. That sounds about right. So let's do that as a way of kind of setting this up. Let me jump back into AutoCAD. I'll create a rectangle, and I'll start drawing, and I'll say at 12 feet, 12 feet, and I'll hit enter. And there is, like I said, this is going to be much smaller than the site itself. So there is a 12 by 12 rectangle. We said we wanted another one of these. Let me copy it. And stick it together. And so that would be well, 1 bedroom and another bedroom. We probably have enough to make it a little bit bigger, but you see kind of how I'm setting these up. We said we wanted a bathroom. So maybe that's I'm thinking here. Well, if we did it 6 by 10, that would be 60 square feet. If we did it 6 by 12, that would be 72 square feet. We could really do it maybe 8 by 12. Let's say at 8 feet, 12 feet. And there's a bathroom. It's a nice, generous bathroom here. And we can start to think about how would we lay these out. So I could move this maybe from there to there. I could move this from there to there. I could even offset one of these if I wanted to. And then maybe I want to think about the living space. I think that was maybe 200 square feet. Let's look. Yep, 200 square feet. So I could do 10 by 20, for example, but that's kind of an awkward size. So maybe, 15 by 20, something like that, or 15 by 18. Let's say at, 15 feet, 18 feet. And remember, these are all designed to be kind of approximate. So let's say that that was my approximate living space. Like that. Now we wanted a kitchen that was open to it. So maybe I would take this, and this was at 15 feet, negative 10 feet, kind of a kitchen space. So you see, I'm just kind of working my way toward this as a layout. Move that down there. Okay. Now you might get these kind of configured and you might say, well, what's my overall square footage? So AutoCAD has a way of determining this for us. If we come over here to the measure tool and I click that little down arrow, one of the measure tools, is actually area. And I can choose area. And when I pick that area tool, it'll ask you to specify a corner point. So if we start to draw around our shape, see how it's highlighted in green? It's going to give me the area of that green shape. So I come over here and then come back over here. I hit enter. It'll tell me my overall square foot. So right now it's 852 square feet. So I actually have a little bit more space. So I could, for example, bump these walls out. Take that. I'll click the little stretch point. I'll say, let's go out 2 feet. Take this one. Let's go out 2 feet. Then I could come back and check that area again. So I'll click the measure tool. We'll work our way around. I want to subtract this little notch because that doesn't count. And then I'll go ahead and hit enter and let's see. There we are at 900 square feet. So I add a little bit more. So we're playing around with these general sizes to get an idea of what we're looking at here. So I like that. The other thing that I want to point out is that exterior space. So decks and patios, none of that's going to count. So you can add square footage to that. From a technical standpoint, it depends on the jurisdiction where you're designing as to how much they count or don't count. But again, that's relative to where you're building. This is a national park, so we would have no way of knowing what the actual code is. So my code to you is that you can get away with anything you want exterior, but the building itself needs to be about 1,000 square feet. So once I have this kind of laid out, I need to start thinking about this in terms of where are my walls going to go? And so when we start thinking about walls, we could very easily take any one of these shapes and do an offset to it. So if I type offset, I could specify 6 inches and I could offset that bedroom to have a wall. But sometimes, right, and I could offset this one. Okay. Sometimes we have other pieces where, let's see, I did that. We'd end up with double walls. So we don't want that. So oftentimes, instead of going and offsetting everything, I'll take all of my big shapes here, like that, and I'll go ahead and type explode. When I type explode, it breaks all of these lines into individual line segments. And that then lets me choose which ones get offset which direction. So I could say, let's offset again at 6 inches. And we'll offset there. Offset this back line. We'll work our way around. Right there. Right there. Now, when I come to this line, for example, I can decide, do I want it offset to the inside or to the outside? We'll offset this one to the inside. And let's go ahead and offset this one to the outside. Offset this one to the outside. Offset this one that way. Offset this one. Go this way. Put that one this way. And I'm going to leave the kitchen open, so I'm not actually going to offset that. Let's go ahead and hit enter to finish. And then some of these I'm going to get rid of. So I don't want that line, so we'll erase that one. I don't want this line, so we'll erase that one.
Is both the interior and exterior offsets going to be 6 inches, or is it going to be?
Yeah, so from a technical, that's a great question. From a technical standpoint, our wall thickness is rarely actually 6 inches because there's more that makes up the dimension of the wall. So depending on the framing, it might be 5.5 inches of 2x6 framing, for example. But the inside would have sheetrock that would give us 6 inches. Then the exterior would probably have shear and then siding. So the wall would end up being thicker. But from a from an ease of drawing standpoint and an ease of math standpoint, especially because this is not a technical working drawings class, I'm going to encourage you just to stick with the 6 inches.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes
If you'd like, you know, if you feel like you're struggling for square footage and you want to make your interior walls 4 inches and your exterior walls 6 inches, I'm okay with that, but there's not really a need for that right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
No, that's good. That's a great question. Thanks for interrupting me. Like I said, I don't have good access to chat today, so I'm glad you stopped me and asked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So now that I'm here, we need to start cleaning things up a little bit. So this is where that fillet command worked nicely. So I showed you this last time, but I'll remind you again. The fillet command, if I type in fillet, it's going to ask me to select a radius. So right now it's set at a 1/2 inch. I don't want that radius. And just for review, if I set a fillet at 2 feet, for example, what a fillet does is it connects 2 lines. So I could say connect this line and this line with a radius. Now, I don't want that rounded corner. So instead, I'm going to use the fillet command, but I'm going to change it so that the radius is set to 0, which means that the corners will come together at a sharp point. And this is a command that I use very, very frequently. And what it does is it allows you basically to connect 2 lines together. So I could take that line and connect them together. I'll right click to repeat the fillet, and I'll connect this line and that line together. And you see that now they're meeting at a nice sharp point. I'll right click to repeat, and we'll connect those 2 together. Oops. Helps if I click on it. We'll right click, repeat fillet, connect this one to that one. So I would work my way around. Same thing here. I can right click, repeat fillet, and we'll connect this one and this one. Now, when we come to something like this, we really just need to do a trim. So I'll type in trim, or I could go to edit trim, or I could select the trim command from right here. And we'll just get rid of those lines right there. I should also point out that trim has changed in AutoCAD 2022. So if you're watching one of my older videos, there was a need to select some lines before you did the trim. Now you don't have to do it anymore. So for those of you that are watching the older videos, things change over time. And so this new version, we just tick trim and we can trim anything in the drawing. So we'll go like that, we'll go like that, we'll go like that. So really what I'm working on is I'm trying to kind of clean up what's happening here. That's a duplicate line. So we have the big line and we have the small line. So if I pick the small line, I can actually just erase that line. Oops, sorry, wrong command here. I'm on a Mac, so I have to type erase. For those of you on a PC, you can press the delete key and it'll go away. So I'm going to work through and kind of clean up my drawing. Then I'm going to add my doors and my windows. So I would go in with my line tool, for example, say I wanted to put a door in here. I would say kind of the minimum to a wall that you would want a door is about 4 inches. So I'll type that in. And then we would just offset this, whatever the dimension of the door. Let's say offset, and let's do 3 feet, see if it fits. Yeah, do a little bit less. So doors are generally in even size increments. So if I did an offset, I could do maybe 32 inches. So you wouldn't have a door that's 33 inches, but a 32-inch door would be fine. There it is. And then I could go back to that trim command. And I could get rid of those 2 lines, and that's giving me the door. So you guys worked a little bit with doors last time. So this is very much a repeat of what we did in the last class. The difference is that now you have some control and you're actually going to be working on designing this building for the first time. So I encourage you to spend some time and think about it. Maybe it's even worth doing some sketches where you kind of lay out general ideas. I think early on in your design career, kind of creating the boxes of this is the approximate size that I want for this space, this is the approximate size for that space, and then seeing how they assemble is usually a good strategy toward kind of laying out your floor plan and thinking about it. You want to think about minimizing hallway space. You don't want too much wasted space. Think about what rooms connect to what other rooms. So if I were to continue to fill this one out, I have one kind of big great room, but then the bathroom is kind of shared between these. So I might, instead of having a direct entrance into the bathroom, I might have an entrance off of each bedroom, for example, into the bathroom. So think about what your own house is like. Think about places you've stayed before, apartments you've stayed in, as you start to conceptualize the design process. This is not a design studio, so we're not going to spend a huge amount of time critiquing or, working through your design and kind of making it better. Though, of course, I'm going to ask you to share during your check-ins next week. Remember, we don't have check-ins this week, as you kind of get things figured out. The other thing that happens is you'll learn as you go through. You'll learn that something doesn't really work, or when you go to do the elevation, you don't like something. So as that happens, design is obviously an evolutionary process. So there's no harm in adjusting or tweaking or changing your design. I'll also give you the heads up that in assignment 106, we'll ultimately be taking this into SketchUp and building it in 3 dimensions. You'll learn a bunch when you move it into 3 dimensions, and you'll again want to change things, and that's perfectly normal and acceptable. So at that point, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go today. So like I said, it's going to be a little bit shorter the next 2 days. Next class on Wednesday, I'll spend a little bit more time talking about floor plans, but we'll also talk about how do we adjust things like line weights and how do we show this a little bit better. And that's something that becomes very, very important and we'll emphasize in the class. So what I want you to concentrate on today is getting the basis of the floor plan drawn. So walls, windows, and doors are what we want to concentrate on today. And then next class, we'll start dealing with things like interiors and kitchens and furniture and that sort of thing. We're not going to have to draw all of those. We'll use blocks to bring those in, but I'll show you that next class. So currently, everything that I've drawn is actually on the topography layer. We haven't talked a huge amount about layers yet. That's fine for where we're going as long as we save it. Next class, we'll talk about layers and we'll move things onto appropriate layers as part of the line weights section. So it doesn't really matter yet, but I just wanted to point that out. When you're done for today, obviously you want to save your AutoCAD file. So I'll click the little disk icon. Let's make sure we save this. And, well, let me save as because it's saved as the topography. Let's save as and let's change it to our assignment 105. And this is the spring of 2022. And I'll click save. There we go. So that's saved. Oops. Perfect. Now I want to get an output. So you can do a screen capture if you want. We could also use the plot icon, the printer. And from here, we can change the printer name into the publish to web JPEG. Default paper size is fine. And you could do the display, or you could choose a window where you actually select just around your building. I'll pick a window around my building, and then we can go ahead and say, okay. Let's put it into my folder for today. And there we go. And I'll click save. And that's going to save that JPEG. That's what I will post when I turn in this exercise. Okay. So we're looking for that. If you have trouble with the printing process, we can talk about it after class today. We can talk about it after class on Wednesday. But I just one more reminder, and I will make a post on Canvas about this as well. We're not going to have our check-ins this week. I want you to use that extra time. So I'm not just giving you the time off so you just, oh, it's good. It's one less thing I have to do. I really want you to spend your time, get this floor plan done. The worst thing that you can do is not finish. And then when we move on next week into the elevations, you're still working on the floor plan. So I really want you to emphasize this floor plan, get it done, get it ready, because you need that to be able to create the elevation next week. Okay. So like I said, you get done a little bit early today. I will stick around until 9 or so. If anybody has any questions about AutoCAD or wants to talk about anything, I'll be here. If not, if you need me between now and Wednesday, send me an email, send me a message in Canvas, and we'll set something up, or we'll talk, or I'll do my best to answer. I hope you all had a wonderful spring break. Welcome back to the last half of the semester. We're going to crank through it, and before you know it, it's all going to be done. Anybody have any questions before I let you go?
I just wanted to check what was the command you used to connect the line?
It's a fillet. So it's
Sorry?
F-I-L-L-E-T.
E.
It actually, if you're a fish person, it looks more like a fillet, but it's actually a fillet. It's available right here in the
Oh, okay.
toolbar. Okay, and the
Okay.
key though is when you choose fillet, when you click, when you first do it, make sure that under radius you're setting
Mhm.
it to 0, because otherwise it'll round the corners over.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, so fillet set at 0. No, absolutely. And that's, sometimes when you're learning AutoCAD, this is obviously has a specific command if you're machining something and you have a part that welds into another part, you want that little rounded corner on it. But sometimes when you're learning AutoCAD from people who practice with AutoCAD and who actually work with AutoCAD, you can pick up tricks like that where I use a fillet all the time, not for its intended purpose, but just to be able to connect lines together. So I try to share those with you if I can. Because I think it really increases productivity. Do I have any other questions? Nope. All right. Sounds good. Well, like I said, I'll be sticking around here if you guys have any individual questions. If not, you're free to go. I'll see you back on Wednesday. Please, please, please work hard on this so that you can get it ready and we have the walls, the windows, and the doors done.